Hey everyone, it's Mitch, and it is Monday. We're going to be doing NFC preview tomorrow, and then we'll probably do some college football the following days. So I think they do have some games, though, on some of those days. I think there's MLS, and I think there's WNBA on some of those days as well. And I know Thursday they have Canadian football, and there's also a Major League Baseball game. Tomorrow, of course, is the All-Star game. So we'll be covering all of that stuff at Sports Chat Place, including the British Open, which starts on Thursday. Maybe we'll give British Open picks on Wednesday on here instead of college football. We'll figure it out as we go along. But today it's going to be NFL preview, and since this is one of those shows that we've done these throughout the year, so I know not a lot of people watch it live. A lot of people watch the replay. So what we'll do is we'll probably get into this rather quickly as opposed to waiting like we normally do. So good morning to everyone that's joining us live. Brian, Sid, Malka. Like I said, I'm not expecting our usual throngs of people to join us live, but I do know that a lot of people watch this one as it sits out there, especially on YouTube. So hopefully, we get some insight, and you guys feel free to comment on this stuff because this is, you guys know, this is the big stuff. This is NFL football, and a lot of opinions on this stuff. And who in the hell knows, right? There's a reason why teams in the NFL don't go on undefeated. There's a reason, because everybody in the NFL is good. There's no scrubs. I mean, even Brock Osweiler, who, I consider a scrub. Jay Cutler, right? These guys still not scrubs. We don't love them, right? We don't love the way that they play, but tell you what, they play. So today it's going to be the NFL AFC Preview show. And not offended, a lot of people don't watch it live, but we'll go over each division. We'll pick our winner in each division, and then we'll say who's going to win the AFC. So we're going to get right into it because we do have a lot of ground to cover. And like I said, not expecting a ton of people to watch us live. I know tons and tons of people are going to watch the replay. So let's get right into it. We'll head into the AFC East. The Patriots minus 1,000 to win the division. Of course, Julian Edelman out for the first 4 games. They had Tom Brady out for the first 4 games. They still managed to win this division. The division has gotten a lot more competitive. It seems that the Dolphins, trying to go somewhat with the youth movement, the Dolphins have always been big spenders when it comes to free agency. And it seems like they're letting go a lot of that stuff. The Buffalo Bills, finally drafting a quarterback in the first round, but at the same time picked up A.J. McCarron in free agency, who might actually be the better acquisition over the short term. And, of course, the Jets. If you can figure out what's going on there with the Jets, you are smarter than me. I love what the Jets have done in the draft in recent years. I loved the Leonard Williams pick a couple of years ago, and I thought Sam Darnold was a pretty strong pick as well. I think the Jets have beefed up in a lot of the areas that they need to. Todd Bowles, when he was the interim coach for the Dolphins, he was awesome. And, when he was defensive coordinator for the Cardinals, he was awesome. So this guy has the potential to get it done as well. I think the issues here that we have, number one, the Patriots, they are getting older. And I think people are starting to figure out the system. And they know that we saw it in the Super Bowl. When the Eagles were able to rotate the defensive linemen, they were able to keep the pressure on Tom Brady. Hey, it didn't stop Tom Brady. Tom Brady in the big game. They love the Patriots, hate the Patriots. We've all been roasted or been on the Tom Brady, on the right side of it with Tom Brady in the big games. And, when they lose those big games, it's not because he was the GOAT or anything. It's they lost. They got beat. And he's been beat in the big game 3 times, but, he's been there a bunch. The Bills, the defense not quite what it was before. They've gotten rid of some of the bigger pieces in the front, but still Jerry Hughes can rush the passer like no one's business, and the Bills are going to be bringing the heat. The Dolphins, I don't love the quarterback situation in Miami with Ryan Tannehill, and then Brock Osweiler is now the backup. So I think the Dolphins have some issues here, and that's why they're plus 1,200. I hate taking minus 1,000. I hate it. It's just I'm not seeing a lot of ways to go here. Maybe we take the Bills at plus 800 to get it done, but boy, I have little faith in them. I have more faith probably in the Jets or Dolphins to get it done, because we saw when Ryan Tannehill played the complete season a few years back for the Dolphins, they made the playoffs. They got smoked by the Steelers. He was out. But you know what? You guys know I can't take the chalk here, so they're not at minus 1,000. I think the Patriots probably win the division, but I think if we play our cards right here, let's go with the Dolphins at plus 1,200. It seems like they're making so many odd moves, getting rid of Landry. They got rid of last year Ajayi, and he went on to win the Super Bowl in Philly. But Drake looked great, at running back. And, it seems like maybe they do know what they're doing. I don't like Tannehill, but you know what? Without Tannehill, they were terrible. The year before, they made the playoffs. Who knows? Healthy Ryan Tannehill. Let's take the Dolphins here. We're getting plus 1,200 on our money. We'll go to the AFC North. We got the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers. The Steelers are minus 300 here. I know Brian Bitler is saying that he likes the Steelers. They're going to be tough to beat. I wish he could be on the show and kind of give his take on that. And I'll tell you what, maybe we should have him on the show coming forward, maybe in the coming weeks as we do some more NFL previews. It's probably a good idea. I know he does a great job on those YouTube videos over at Picks and Parlays. And if we can get him on the show to talk football, that would be awesome, because sometimes some of this stuff is tough to, this is easier as a discussion than to talk by yourself when you're doing previews this far out. I think when we look at this division, though, what we saw from the Steelers last year is they got roughed up. This is what concerns me, Brian, about the Steelers, and I don't know. You tell me. They have the best receiver in the game. They have a quarterback that's proved that he can win the big game. He comes up big in the big game. Matter of fact, this quarterback can take a shot better than any player at any position in the NFL. They have the guy. Right? He takes a better shot than anybody else does. The problem here is, for the Steelers, is it looked to me that the Jaguars kind of drew up a book on how to beat the Steelers. They beat the snot out of them. They beat them twice, and they beat them bad. They didn't just barely beat them. They didn't just squeak by. They didn't get lucky. They beat the living tar out of them twice. Like the Eagles beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They made incredible plays at incredible times. The home run Philly, whatever you call that play, the catch by the running back, the guy from Wisconsin, the catch, the catch Clement, right? The catch in the end zone, unbelievable. Not what happened in the Jacksonville-Pittsburgh games. It was a physical beatdown, and it was ugly on both sides of the ball. It was neither of those games, neither of the last two games of Jacksonville-Pittsburgh were even close. Neither of the games were even close, and they were both in Pittsburgh. So is there another team out there that can mimic the style of what Jacksonville did? Because it wasn't all Leonard Fournette, so it's there's only one Leonard Fournette, and, things. So when we look at the Cincinnati Bengals, they've had a big drop-off recently. Since, the receivers, when they lost Sanu and Marvin Jones, they haven't quite been the same at receiver. They've been starting to stockpile receivers again, and I think they're getting a little better. They've had troubles with suspensions on defense from, their best player, Vontaze Burfict. And when he's in the lineup, he seems to be able to make the stops and make the plays. It's just unfortunately his reputation is more the thing that gets in the way. With the Cleveland Browns, I am less than sold that this team is moving in the right direction. I liked Baker Mayfield in college. I think that he was a playmaker. And as a matter of fact, when it comes to all these quarterbacks that were being drafted, I thought he was the best one, even though he wasn't rated the highest, and I agreed with them that he was the best one. The problem with Baker Mayfield is that he's always been surrounded by a tremendous amount of talent. At Oklahoma, they were stacked. So the fact that he's not going to be surrounded by that kind of talent in Cleveland, it could be Johnny Manziel all over again running for his life. I know Cleveland is building. They've had the draft choices, but when? Because we haven't even seen them start to turn the corner. Like a lot of teams, when they start to turn the corner, we see them have these signature wins the year before, kind of like the writings on the wall that this team is going to be really good next year. We have not seen that from the Cleveland Browns. All we see is that they can, come close to covering, late in a game, and they don't even do that. Deshaun Kaiser experiment is over. It's going to be Baker Mayfield. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there in Cleveland? Tyrod Taylor as well. Once again, going with more of a mobile style of QB. Little faith in the offensive line. I don't know. I think it's going to be another season of pain and suffering in Cleveland. And when it comes to the Ravens, the fact that they drafted a quarterback in the first round just tells you how they feel about Joe Flacco. I think when you draft a quarterback, that's one thing. When you draft a quarterback in the first round, that's another thing. And I think they have little faith in Joe Flacco. The Ravens seem to get it done. It's never pretty, but they do get it done, and they certainly play the Steelers extremely tough. I'll tell you, I'm going to go for the big value here. I'm going to take the Bengals at plus 1,000, and that's going to be my pick for the AFC North. Move right along to the AFC South. Houston Texans are the favorite here at plus 175. Of course, Deshaun Watson, the guy who I said was the best quarterback in last year's draft, and people laughed at me. Meanwhile, he got on the field, and everyone started to agree. Should be back and should be healthy, and this guy is a winner. Indianapolis Colts, we don't know what is going on with this team. Very, very tough team to figure out because they seem to be piecing it together each and every year. The Jaguars, who were Murder Incorporated last year, Blake Bortles still back at QB. Not a guy that we like, but boy, did he show us something. And then Tennessee Titans are plus 300 in this division. DeMarco Murray, of course, gone, retired. But the Titans are a team that have very, very little holes and very little weakness. And once again, we're a team that made the playoffs last year. They got smoked, but they made it. So one thing that we know about the NFL, and I should have probably led off with this, is that about half the teams that make the playoffs one year make it the following year. We know that. It's just historical, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to be that way. And, when we did our baseball preview, I kind of alluded to that it was the same in baseball, but it really isn't because baseball, there's no salary cap. But in football, half the teams that make the playoffs one year do not make it the following year. So are the Titans that team that doesn't make it? Not really sure. Jaguars, second choice in the division. They made it to the championship game. They were one game away from the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, I got to go with the Jaguars here. I like the physical style that they were playing. Tom Coughlin seems to have built a good team here. And, none of the people in Jacksonville have shown to me, outside of Coughlin, who's won a few Super Bowls, that they can do it, in the big games and do it over time. But I will say that it certainly looked good against the good teams, the Steelers and the Patriots, the teams that they need to beat. Yeah, they lost a couple games that they probably shouldn't have lost, but they also took care of business in a lot of games that they should take care of business. So there's no real long shot in this division except for the Colts at plus 400, which is really nothing compared to, we just looked at, the Bengals are plus 1,000, with the Steelers minus 300 in that division. I think at plus 200, the Jags are an absolute bargain here. And I expect them to make a run at the Super Bowl. I think the Titans at plus 300 also, as a hedge, not a bad play either. The Texans at plus 175, I just don't see it. because J.J. Watt has not been able to stay healthy. I like the progress of Clowney, and we loved him coming out of college. He's finally. It took him a while to reach that NFL potential, but he's there. And guys like that can elevate the entire team. The problem is J.J. Watt has not been able to stay healthy on defense, and the offense has failed to show any kind of consistency, especially out of the running game since Arian Foster left. So I'm not really sure. What people are thinking here on the Houston Texans. I wish that. And Joe Finney is saying, he doesn't think that Jacksonville is a fluke, and I'm with him on this one. I don't think it's a fluke because the easiest way to win in the NFL, well, there's no easy way, but the most tried and tested way, the way that's been tested, the way that it's been done, you look at the historical great teams in the NFL that have done it more than once. They play defense and run the football, and that's what Jacksonville does. And I think they're going to be very, very, very tough. Even with Blake Bortles. I mean, Trent Dilfer has won a Super Bowl, and so has Mark Rippon. So, we saw last year a backup quarterback in Philly win the Super Bowl. He played the game of his life. We can't take anything away from Nick Foles, but let's just say, when it comes down to the greatest quarterbacks of all time, he's not on the list. But Super Bowl quarterbacks, he's way up on the list. And it takes us to the AFC West, where the Chargers are favored to win the division. This is a team that Gino's saying, Cowboys, we're doing NFC tomorrow. But the Chargers are favored to win this division, plus 125. The Raiders are plus 175 with John Gruden. Chiefs plus 325 with Mahomes moving in as the starting quarterback, getting rid of Alex Smith. And the Denver Broncos at plus 250 in the mix with, I don't know what they're doing in Denver. I cannot figure it out for the life of me, but it seems like they're just grasping at straws. I think this is going to be the toughest division. I think that these teams are going to beat up on each other. I don't understand the odds in that last one that we just went over in the AFC South, because what we saw out of Jacksonville, and especially in Tennessee, and we know what those teams can do. We're not sure what Mahomes is going to be in Kansas City. I mean, they're either going to be a runaway winner here, or they're in really, really big trouble. See, what you have in Kansas City is a quarterback that likes to throw the ball down the field, and a coach that likes to throw 6-yard passes. And Brian Bitler, who lives in Philly, can tell you everything about Andy Reid, I'm sure. And how Andy Reid, when it comes to throwing the ball downfield, he'd rather cut the receiver than do that. And he did that. He got, he's done it. He did it a number of times, gotten rid of the receivers that wanted to go deep, as opposed to letting his quarterback throw the ball down the field. So I'd expect that there'll be some struggles in Kansas City with Mahomes, and it'll be interesting to see if he has the touch to make those shorter passes that are part of the Andy Reid system. The Chargers, I mean, Phil Rivers, he's really one of the best arms in the history of the NFL. I know he doesn't get a lot of love from most people. He's got a bad attitude. He's not Peyton Manning, when it comes to charisma or anything like that, but you can never say that Philip Rivers didn't try. And I'll tell you, he has the best release. He has the best arm in the NFL right now. He's clearly he might not be the best quarterback, but he has the best arm in the NFL. It's not even close. He can. The reason why he throws those bad interceptions late in games is because he's the only one that can even attempt to make some of those throws, because his release is so quick and he can get the ball there in such a hurry that he can do it. The problem is he hasn't had a lot of help in San Diego over the years. But I'll tell you, it looked like they do. The thing is that plus 125. I do like the Chargers here, but I got to say that the plus 125 scares me a little bit. The Denver Broncos, still, I don't know. This is a team that traditionally very, very tough at home. So, last year they got beat at home plenty. And it just seems that they play the Patriots a lot, and they play them in Denver every time, and they still can't beat them. So the Raiders at plus 175 is a little aggressive, but we have to remember that 2 years ago, the Raiders were, considered one of the top teams in the NFL. They had the injury, and then last year they took a big step backwards. Now John Gruden is in, and I expect the Raiders to be pretty good. I'll take the Raiders here, plus 175. Don't love it. And the Chargers did lose a ton of close games last year. So that's who we have. We picked each of our division winners. I got to say, in the NFL, these things can change week to week. So, just looking at an overview, we don't have a lot else to talk about today, so it's a good time to do this. And, as preseason happens, as we see injuries and, even late trades, acquisitions, and players that are going to step up, this stuff will change. But did take an opportunity to go over it, and tomorrow we'll go over the NFC. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll talk NFC football. So if you guys have any questions, comments, anything like that, by all means, bring them tomorrow, and let's go. We'll do it again, same thing. And have a great